as I was preparing for this talk, as God always does, he reminds me of this story that I heard from a friend of mine who went up into his friend's plane. And before they took off, they were in the cockpit, and his friend was looking at all the gauges and doing the safety checks. And as they took off, he noticed that the nose of the plane seemed high, but the pilot didn't seem alarmed, so he just kind of ignored it and started watching the beautiful landscape. And so as he looked at his friend again, he noticed that he was just so intently watching this one gauge, and it started getting a little unnerving. So he thought he'd make some small talk, and he said, "So, you have a lot of gadgets here?" And the pilot said, "Yeah." And he goes, "But I noticed you've been watching that one." And he said, "Yeah, that's called an attitude indicator." Did you know that airplanes have an attitude indicator? And the interesting part about that is that the attitude indicator actually determines the performance of a plane, which is very important when you're up there, right? 10,000 feet, or really 10 feet and above is in your danger zone. But what happens is the attitude of the plane is the position of the aircraft in relationship to the horizon. So it could be higher sometimes. But you know what happens is when the nose starts going down, that's called negative attitude. You seeing where I'm going here? Nose up, positive, nose down. Well, nobody wants to be in a nosedive when you're in an airplane. So I thought, wow, how relevant to this message given I live in airports. So I consider myself a professional business traveler. But I did determine, and God helped me with this last weekend, that that's where I get my biggest attitude problems, is at the airport.